Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of the RecAp interviews. Today I have the pleasure to welcome Johan Thiers, General Manager Business Unit Sustainability at KBC Belgium. Welcome to the grill.
Good afternoon.
Hey, hi. So why don't we start maybe with the first question to understand who you are, what's your responsibility, and maybe present the group activity?
Yes, I'm Johan Thiers. I'm responsible for all the sustainability program in Business Unit Belgium of KBC. Business Unit Belgium is a commercial activity, both banking and insurance of KBC. We have the biggest market share in Flanders on this, and we have altogether about 65 colleagues working on sustainability currently in KBC in Belgium. So it's quite a setup.
KBC decided to become a partner, a structural partner of RecAp. Because for you, ESG is important. Having a positive impact socially, environmentally is strategic for you. So can you tell us maybe a little bit more about what is it that you do with ESG?
So we are very ambitious on the ESG side. We want to both ourselves and our customers make progress in reducing our footprint while still growing, while still being, of course, very profitable. What do we do ourselves, or what have we already done? Some examples, we have reduced our own footprint by 70% since 2015 when we launched the program. We have the ambition to go up to 80%. We're carbon neutral as from 2021. So compensating what we still have as emissions by voluntary offsetting. So we're fully on a group level, not only in Belgium, but on a group level. Carbon neutral. We are also committed to help our customers to make this transition. To give you an example, last year we had about 3,000 customer meetings on sustainability with SME and corporate customers. We have created some cooperation with external partners who could also assist our customers in getting more sustainable, both on their strategy or on the energy efficiency of their activities. So really are committed. We also show that to the external world by committing to the SBTi target setting and the external commitments on reducing the footprint of our lending portfolio. For instance, on very clear targets, which we have published last year in our external reporting. So yes, it's no soft business. It's very hard. It's very committed.
Yeah, but I think KBC is indeed one of the front runner there. And so it is said that ESG is a moving target because we often have new regulations and etc. And so sometimes it's a bit blurry. We don't really understand all of the details. And so of course it's very clear the target on the E component, decrease by 55% the CO2 emissions by 2030. Be carbon neutral by 2050. But I have the feeling that the S and the G components are a little bit more fuzzy or unclear or less tangible, less documented. So can you tell us about the learning process that you had at KBC? So how do you see this S and the G, and how are you learning about this,
Yeah, good question, because that's a learning process indeed. Now, before starting on the S and the G, there's of course also the E, which is not finishing with greenhouse gas emissions. It's also about water treatment, about biodiversity, about pollution, about circularity. So there's still a lot to do on the E. Where still also legislation is and regulations are in process of being established. When it comes to the S and the G, it's more even more difficult or fuzzy when, as you say, in terms of regulation. We started off there with looking at gender diversity, both inside of KBC, but also supporting female entrepreneurship through our incubator started at KBC. Where we want to increase female entrepreneurship and further give support to it. In terms of governance, we really established a sustainability governance going up from our board of directors to our group executive committee to each of the business units with a very clear governance structure and also very transparent reporting on that. So that's part of the G. But as you say, this S and the G are still the more difficult letters in the journey.
So I'm also curious to understand from a group perspective, if you have documented your ESG ambitions. Are you tracking currently your performance? Are you reporting your performance? Of course, as financial institution, you do all of this, but I would like to understand what is the most difficult there, because it's additional skills, it's additional workload.
Absolutely. So the most difficult part, and I think that's what a lot of people will recognize, is data.
Yeah.
Finding data.
Yeah.
Data on what you want to measure, and then also taxonomy comes into play, because data, you have to have a definition of data, and preferably you use a definition which a regulator has decided on, and on a lot of things the regulator didn't decide yet on definitions. So the whole taxonomy and finding data on ourselves, but also data coming from our customers on what we want to measure. So that is a very hard thing, and that I think for a lot of companies it's a hard nut to crack, to gather a new set of data, and that requires new methodology, new expertise, and also building.
We could say that we won't reach any ESG ambitions if we don't have the data, which is the backbone tool.
Yeah,
it's the most important thing.
And data on greenhouse gases, it's still fine. It's difficult, it's hard, but it's still fine. You can quantify.
Yeah.
On circularity, on biodiversity, how will you measure? How will you? So that's hard to find.
And
what's the definition?
Scope 2, Scope 3. Yeah. Okay. And I would like to open a bit the conversation about innovations in general. Can you tell us, because the ESG performance at the end is also really much related to innovations, of course.
Absolutely.
And so I would like to understand, maybe at the group level, how you have structured innovations. Do you have a budget? Do you have people allocated to this? How do you work on innovation?
We work on it on a very dedicated way. We have kind of a sustainability program inside of KBC, where we have different tracks. We have, for instance, a track on reporting and data, but we also have a dedicated track on innovation.
Okay.
In Belgium, there's about 15 to 20 people working on dedicated innovation on sustainability. And it goes from innovations for retail as for innovations of corporate, B2B. So
it's across different business units? It's transversal? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Now maybe a bit of the future in a way. Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz, one of the most successful VC, of course, was saying 11 years ago, that software is eating the world, that everything was becoming software. And I have the feeling now, 11 years after, that in a way impact is eating the world, because everything has to become impact. If you don't have a social and environmental positive impact, you will be out of business, right? I have the feeling that if you don't have, next to financial results, impact results, impact metrics, you will be out of business. Do you agree with this view that everything has to become impact? Everything becomes impact?
More or less, yes. And our CEO also has a quote on that, and he said, sustainability is the new digital.
Yeah, that's it.
So you will have to measure. He has another quote on that. He says that we're not owning this planet, we're only borrowing it from the next generation. So we should make sure that the impact on the planet is in a way that is sustainable, and we can hand over the planet to the next generation, at least in as good shape as we received it from the previous generation. So that's the line of thinking, which is absolutely aligned with the quotes you were saying.
And now, with the current economic conditions, the current economical conjuncture, rising of inflation rate, inflation, interest rates, rising of construction cost materials, the rising cost of labor, rising cost of energy, etc. You have a lot of developers that are that have their margins challenged, and so we heard some developers telling us that they have to sacrifice some of the sustainability aspect of their buildings, of their project, or some of the aesthetical aspect of the buildings. Otherwise, they won't get financed their project by the banks because it's too risky. The margins are too low. So for me, this is a big step back towards sustainability, right? And so my question for you is, what would be your key message to construction or real estate professionals that decide not to work on ESG? Either that they have not started or that they decide to stop and to focus on the old way of doing business?
For those who stopped, I would say don't continue. For those who have not started yet, I would say start with it. But start with it small, step by step. It's a journey. It's not something you do overnight and have a huge plan. But you have to start small, think where you want to get and get there in steps. And talk to a lot of stakeholders, not only industry, but also outside of the industry. So to make sure that you have kind of a holistic view on where you want to go.
Clear. Yeah, I would say start or die. It's a bit more drastic, but okay, I like your opinion. And maybe the last question, because of course you're a platinum partner of RecAp, the ESG accelerator. So I would like to understand maybe what are the benefits that KBC expects or gets from the RecAp partnership.
We expect to be inspired on something which is very important for KBC, because if you look at the total loan portfolio, for instance, about half of it, if you include residential real estate, is composed of real estate. So both residential, non-residential real estate. So it's a big chunk of our activities, and we know we have the ambition, also the Belgian government has the ambition, and everyone, to reduce the footprint of the whole real estate property market. And there, I think RecAp can contribute to finding solutions and innovative ideas to make sure that happens, because it needs to be reduced by, I don't know what, by 2030, 42% per square meter. So you know the numbers better than I do in the ambitions of Europe. So that's where, that's the main reason why we want to make sure it happens. And that's the main reason why we are member of RecAp and very supportive to all what you do. So do it good, because we'll need you.
And we're honored and proud to have you on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Johan Thiers.